Guys, lately I've been having trouble sleeping, and do you want to know why? Because the Chinese media has bombarded the internet with photos from the Zhuhai air show. There's one, there's two, there's three, there's four, there's five, six. Oh my god, there are too many of these. Okay, we got them out. And one of those videos is this J-35A soaring through the Chinese airspace with its afterburners on. But do we know why exactly did the PLAAF, the People's Liberation Army Air Force, actually inducted the aircraft? Well, we know the implication of this aircraft to the West, or maybe discussions about its probable specification analysis. But do we really know what it's for? Its actual application? But in this video, we'll find out. Let's go. The coverage of the J-35A can be summarized quite briefly in multiple different aspects. First is Russophiles, Sinophiles, and Anglophiles, or Americanophiles, whatever you want to call them, fighting each other whether the J-35 is inferior or superior to their particular stealth aircraft. And then there is the anti-US and pro-China channels and outlets doing their usual job. And then there is the analysis and specifications, and the Indian media, as usual, is sensationalizing and villainification. That is the cycle they always choose, the usual things. And, well, some Indian channels have shown genuine interest into the topic, but that's only because of the probable sale of a variant of this aircraft to the Pakistani Air Force. It seems us Indians don't care about anything unless it involves Pakistan. So, what is the strategic application of this aircraft, and why suddenly the Air Force, which categorically rejected the aircraft before, suddenly wanted to induct it? Well, first, to establish that in fact the PLAAF didn't want the aircraft, I went through the China military power report of the Department of Defense of the United States from 2012 to present, and with the exception of the 2016 report, where there is a mention that the Shenyang Aircraft Corporation is in discussion with the PLAAF to possibly induct this aircraft at some time. Other than that, every time it's named the FC-31 and J-31, with which it was previously known, comes up, it's only in the context of either export or by 2019 or 2020, the context of the PLA, the People's Liberation Army Navy, being them interested in the aircraft as a catapult-assisted short takeoff and landing aircraft. Independent sources also point to the fact that the FC-31 is in fact a self-funded and independently developed technology demonstrator of the Shenyang Aircraft Corporation. So why suddenly wanted this aircraft, a modified version of the F-31? The modifications being the rear rudders are smaller, and the canopy is seated deeper into the body. The diverterless, there's this diverterless supersonic intake. The landing gear bay doors are different. There's the radome and pitot tube, without the pitot tube, the new radome that has been designed, and a heads-up display. Well, the answer to this is first, geopolitics. In 2017, Doklam standoff became a point after a relative period of peace when things started heating up in the Indo-Chinese border. After that, various incidents and events happened, and basically us Indians and the Chinese got medieval on each other. Literally medieval. We were using clubs, knives, and like those circles with pointed things on it. Yeah, it was straight up video game edition. Anyway, that's a topic for a different video, but The PLAAF wanted to make sure that in case a probable future conflict breaks out, they would have air superiority. Now, to this end, the PLAAF, by the way, PLAAF sounds like PLAAF. PLAAF is a dish served in like Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan, Central Asia, basically. It's should I call PLAAF PLAAF? Comment below. For time being, I'll still call them PLAAF. Anyway, PLAAF started posting or stationing various aircrafts in the area, but they wanted to evaluate and assess their cream of the crop, the J-20. So, for this measure, the J-20S was stationed on various air bases. Here we can see that it's doing an elephant walk on the Korla Air Base near Xinjiang province. And then there is the Hotan Air Base. Various photographs, satellite imagery clearly can be seen. Various J-20 taxiing or being stationed on their positions. And then there is the Shigatse Air Base near Sikkim border. But as the aforementioned tasks were performed by the Chinese Air Force pilots, training, evaluation, assessment, and simulated battle exercises, some problems arose. First one of these problems was that the J-20 was too heavy and lacked power. Now, you see the oxygen-devoid air of the Trans-Himalayas and the Tibetan Plateau has a very drastic effect on power of an engine. The jet engines have to spend more fuel and go through extra stress when they need to achieve the same power they would have at the sea level. And that becomes a problem. The second problem that they had was because of the dust and soil that got into the engines. Now, even in my own experience, when I have visited the region multiple times, the soil and the dust is quite corrosive. When I went, I had an exhaust made of 316L. Marine grade 316L steel, and even that exhaust had corrosive spots just because the particles would stick to it. Anything heated up with that, the particles from this region have like an acidic nature to them. And the PLAAFs try to remedy this by trying to take off from lower regions of the Himalaya, from the Tibetan Plateau and then rising up. But because of the large extent of the Tibetan Plateau, that can't be done. Unlike us, who have basically a short. The IAF can just take off from low-lying air bases and then achieve altitude, but that cannot be done in case of the PLAAF just because of the vastness of the Tibetan Plateau. And then there is the fact that the PLAAF is an inexperienced force. You see, the Western Theater Command of the PLAAF only started operating modern aircraft from early 2000s. If you compare that to the IAF, IAF has been patrolling, training, intercepting, and exercising and operating in these environments for a long time with relatively modern aircrafts. They were relatively modern when we bought them. Now they're old, really old. Anyway. So then, and also of the fact that the PLAAF as a whole too is not a very inexperienced force, and strategy and tactics. See, technology can be stolen, technology can be told through corporate espionage and spies, but tactics and strategy, they need experience and they need development. And the last war that the PLAAF fought was the Korean War. So, an inexperienced force. Now the J-20 with their new WS-15 engines were also assessed, but it was still a big plane. Basically, the J-20 is a bomb bus, inherent by design. And if you are wondering why go through such lengths to station a stealth aircraft on the Western Theater Command, because obviously, looking at us, the Indian Air Force, it probably if the Chinese wanted, they can counter us with the 4th or 4.5 generation aircraft. So why go through so much to station a stealth aircraft? After all, their main priority is Taiwan. But to that I say no. I don't think the Chinese will attack or get involved in a conventional war with Taiwan. There's a reason they have 20,000 agents from the Ministry of State Security working in Taiwan. That's because they want to topple the government from the inside. That's a topic for another video. Anyway, so the PLAAF was out of an aircraft. But turns out if you invest heavily in universities, research and industry, it kind of pans out. So luckily the Shenyang Aircraft Corporation had an aircraft ready for the PLAAF, ready to induct and deploy on the Indo-Chinese border. Now the aircraft itself, because it's been developing for the carrier, so naturally the version for the Air Force is going to be lighter than the naval cousin. And the aircraft is going to have more maintenance-friendly parts and engines, and it's going to have a great thrust-to-weight ratio, given it will be equipped with twin WS-19 engines with 200 kilonewton of thrust. So yeah, it was kind of like the F-18 moment for the Shenyang Military Corporation. Vindication at last. And people have said that the J-35 looks like the F-35. To that I say they are made with technologies that have the same base, and the technologies have been evolved and the materials used have been evolved from the same data set and same base research. So of course they're going to look alike. Also the mission objectives and requirements are kind of overlapping, so that's not a surprise. To me myself, the J-35A looks like a stealthed out MiG-29, and it quite literally completes the purpose of a multi-role frontline supermaneuverable fighter. And that is the reason it was such a great choice for the Chinese for the Himalayas, because we still use the MiG-29 because of its great thrust-to-weight ratio. You need that on those high altitudes and high mountains. And so the Chinese thought that the J-35 is basically a better version of the MiG-29 with better avionics, better construction, better engine, and better maintenance capabilities. And they just chose it. It's like an F-22 and a MiG-29 went on a date and had a one-night stand, and the F-22 didn't call afterwards, and MiG-29 got into trouble, so the J-35 is their illegitimate child adopted by the Chinese. So no, the J-35A is not made to counter the West. No, it's not. It's made to counter us. In fact, not just to counter. The PLAAF wants every advantage they have when they are going against us. The probability of this being a fact is also confirmed by a little incident that happened about 12 years ago. World-renowned aerospace scientist APJ Abdul Kalam, and our former president and the greatest guy ever born, was visiting China on an invitation. His visit to the aviation industry of China installation, one of the installation, was cancelled just hours before schedule. It is said that the FC-31 was actually contained in one of those facilities, and if APJ Abdul Kalam would have had a look on at the aircraft, he would have completely understood what it was for. So the Chinese intelligence decided that it's better that he doesn't see it. What would have been if he would have known about the aircraft at that moment? Anyway, and the decision to give the Pakistanis a variant of this aircraft is also not a coincidence. Now, I know what you would say, enemy of my enemy is a friend. Yeah, but things aren't that simple in military and geopolitics. The Chinese have various other aircraft to give to the Pakistanis. Why would they give the second best stealth fighter they got? Why would they do that? That's because, as I said before, the PLAAF, while teaching the Pakistani pilots on the platform that is J-35, they will themselves absorb knowledge of strategy and tactics about the terrain of the area, operating air bases high up, and various other knowledge and information while they train the Pakistanis. So the Pakistanis are going to act like free instructors for the Chinese while they instruct them their aircraft. Also, the Ministry of State Security has been compromising Pakistani generals for about 10 years or so. So it is safe to assume that about in the next 5 to 6 years, the PAF, Pakistani Air Force, is just going to be a subcommand of the PLAAF, independent only in name. Wow, China is really working big brain time here. Like, does Megamind work for them? We gotta ask. So, whatever may it be, maybe the PLAAF did not want the world to know that they wanted the aircraft, or they wanted the world, or they genuinely didn't want the aircraft. The thing is, they have it now, and they can certainly produce them in numbers. Now the question remains, how long will it take for us, the Indian Air Force, and our bureaucrats and politicians to get our together? And by the way, the slight advantage we have in this frontier is not because of our own efficiency. No, not by a long shot. Not because of our bureaucrats and politicians. It is just because of our protector and savior, the Himalayas. There's a reason we worship them, because they're just protecting us. If they wouldn't have been there, it would have been a really bad situation for us. So yeah, that is the J-35 for you. And I again say that no, the Chinese are not going to invade Taiwan. They want a limited conventional war with us. That's what they want. And that's why the Western Theater Command is being developed, roads are being developed, train tracks are being developed, so that the frontier can be provided with all the ammunition, all the parts, all the things needed during war. And that's why. So yeah, so that's the truth about the J-35 for you. And keep liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, and comment below if what do you think the actual purpose of the J-35 is, J-35A is, and Jai Hind, and good luck, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.